I'm on your neck. Give me respect. Hey, hey, I'm on your neck. Hey, give me respect. Hey, hey, I'm on your neck. Give me respect. Hey, hey, hey. I'm on your neck, hey, give me respect, hey, hey, I'm on your neck, give me respect, hey, hey, I'm on your neck, hey, give me respect, hey, hey, I'm on your neck, give me respect, hey, hey, hey.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
It's time to head to Canada as the PRL looks to see how its top open-wheel drivers fare out at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's the Formula 3 Series, and it's here on RaceSpot. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside me is Derek Watson. Producer, once again, Raphael Sankey, as we get set to see how these drivers fare out for round 3 of this season. We're at virtual Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in what's been an intriguing start to the season so far, as we look to continue through the month of July, just a few days after Canada Day.
Yeah, JP, you look at the schedule and you see some interesting tracks come up here. Of course, next week, a newer track with iRacing service. Hungaroring, also a newer track, and Aragon, of course, new this season. So these next 3 weeks after tonight, JP, are maybe the most intriguing for the points, because I think it's the 3 tracks that drivers probably know the least, at least from a sim racing background.
In turn, though, these drivers getting ready to see how things play out. No drop weeks factored in yet until about week 5 is where we'll start seeing those calculations come in. Juan Cofre leading the point standings, though, after a 57-point second round for his first victory of the season over Julio Palacio. Francisco Gonçalves, Stephen Verity, along with Dominic Olivier and Boris Ignovano amongst your top 6. Ridgway, Kita, Chinsky, and Lehman amongst your top 10. 69 points, the lowest total in the top 10. In turn, though, PRL and its Precision Racing Esports outlet starting things off strong with SRT Esport Blue within 2 points of them. Atomic Racing, longtime veterans for this series, in 3rd. The Green Division of SRT in 4th. Rust Racing Oxide in the top 5. YS Motorsports Gold, a big shuffle back from past seasons, though, back to 6th so far. Agro CF, Sub, Atomic Geezers, and YS Motorsports Black, your top 10 entering the round. So as we get ready for today's action, tonight's coverage brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount code on ASR products using Precision5 coupon code. By Racebox, which offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. From the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and competitively handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceboxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount code. Use the Precision5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker includes products that add incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. Feel every nuance and joy. Put yourself in the driver's seat. By Mecha Sim Hardware, a small company from the Czech Republic. Their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And by a new sponsor, Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim racing room. In turn, these drivers getting themselves situated in qualifying. And how about a surprise up the top of the board with 5 minutes to go? It's J.R. Williams over Olivier by 17/100ths of a second. A major shuffle over Palacio Moncofre.
You know, JP, and what a surprise this is. You and I were just talking right before we went live a few minutes ago, and it was Palacio and Cofre at the top of the board. Now there's 2 new challengers here. With J.R. Williams, see him here in this machine, getting a little bit of a tow there from the car in front of him. That'll definitely help your qualifying run.
Talked about how he's happy to be in this series and amongst the Discords earlier on in the week after his season debut. Expecting big things when it comes to Williams' pace, though, as seen over the past couple seasons across PRL competition. Amongst those inside the top 10 looking to charge ahead, Kevin Sandiego back on the field tonight, currently in the 6th position. Also of note, Jake Vasconcelos looking to recover after what's been a rough start to the season, back in 18th to start this qualifying.
Yeah, it's been a rough start for a few drivers this season, so I'm excited to see if maybe tonight is that turning point, or when that turning point is for a few drivers, JP. Now we're watching here with Ovenado, as he's put it down to 110 currently, hoping he can best that. Not going to happen here, it looks like.
Or Savando amongst those in the 11th position currently, running 113s, warming things up here. But when it comes to Mosport, this is a track that has been very much put in its works when it comes to this series over the years. A very enjoyable place. But drivers have already been warned to be careful today, especially after that start in White's Corner. That run through turn 10, very infamous for big chaos. Same for Moss Corner, turn 5.
Yeah, Moss Corner, of course, one of the more infamous corners on the track. You know, actually named for the man who helped design it, and he thought it was humorous to have the corner like that. I think a lot of drivers who drive here do not share that humor that he has about his own corner.
To put it politely, the radius of the first section of Moss Corner is 160 feet, 90-degree turn. But then you only have 34 feet, that whole radius, for the second part of that corner, which really stacks things up in the heart of the apex.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the quote again. I found it earlier, but basically he just kind of said, oh, this will make it interesting. I believe is what he referred to and said about the racing. My corner will make the race more interesting. Well, it has, but maybe not in the intended ways.
Crane fuss amongst those, trying to get gathered up, having to avoid some of the incidents that are happening around the racetrack here with about 2 minutes to go in session. Williams currently having the time holding up, though. 1:10.6, the personal best. Still no change at the top of the pylon, but drivers like Placio and several others expect to get on the clock. In fact, Placio now on a flyer this time by. Let's talk about the track flow.
Yeah, in terms of track flow, this is maybe one of the better tracks we've been to, I think, of the 4 weeks now, or the 3 or 4 weeks now we've been doing this, JP. It's a pretty wide track. It has some easier lines in it than what maybe, for example, what we did at Barcelona last week. So lots of opportunity to open this wheel up here and get down these straightaways.
Currently entering Sector 2. Right now, Placio needs to find 34 100ths of a second. How tight is the top 5? How about 92 100ths of a second, first to fifth? After all, if you want to be up towards the front, you have to find every bit of speed. It's a half a second difference between first and 26th already.
And that's incredible. That's almost like NASCAR super speedway times, Justin. That gap of just, you know, how narrow it could be. But I think what we're seeing here tonight is we saw earlier J.R. Williams kind of pulling that draft from the car in front of him, or the wake, as I guess we called it more on the open wheel side. But that may be what it takes to pull a pole here for this race.
Let's see if Placio is able to pick up a pole without any tow. No, it's a 1:12.5, but he has one more lap to get some heat in the tires and see if there's anything that can be done. Olivier, meanwhile, is getting some assistance right now for the biggest straightaway opportunity on the racetrack today. Most drivers going to have a chance to be able to draft up the Mario Andretti straight before reaching turn 8, up to the S's for turn 9.
And for Olivier, that was a great move right there. That was a great classic draft. He got the draft and then dipped to the inside and went right through the corner, but I think he's calling it off.
Olivier seems to be happy with the track position. See if anyone else is able to jump ahead on the board. Manuel Vargas has showed good flashes of speed this season, but 0.3 off the pole. Any improvement? No, doesn't count. But he does have a chance to put in one more lap as we now see the checker flag wave. In the next couple seconds, drivers who are on the current runs can complete said runs before we end off this session.
Now, that is one of the benefits of the open qualifying system, is it says that, you know, compared to a single qualifying where you're just kind of done, in open qualifying, the system will let you finish the lap you're on and get one last crack at it.
By the way, only one penalty assessed from the last round. That going to Rainey, who had a rough race. 10 points deducted for a minor race incident for causing a collision. No other penalties from last round to consider. Here's Kevin San Diego. We'll see if he can get himself charging ahead now in the red, white, and black colors. Looks like he's electing not to put an error lap. He'll go and test in that pit entry that drivers have been warned about being so tight today.
Yeah, and this is actually a track, Justin, we'll talk about during the race, where both the entry and the exit are kind of tight. We'll focus on the more. There's a car in the grass and back in the wall over there. Not sure who that was in the wide camera shot.
Only two drivers have a chance to close out their runs, make it one. Fabio Conte, everybody else has already taken the checker flag or pulled off the racetrack. And this is always an interesting sign of, does anybody want to improve the time a bit more? It looks like Conde's picked up an off track, and that likely in turn closing qualifying here. What's going to be intriguing here from Canada today. Now, a few years ago, of course, the 60th anniversary of this racetrack and facility, opened since 1961. At one point, was actually the host of the Canadian GP, an open-wheel competition to World Championship action. That's now changed over the years. It's hosted NASCAR as well as IMSA competition as of recent years.
Yeah, lots of diverse series have gone here, but let's take a look at the grid.
Let's talk about how they'll start today. After the quick advancement, it's J.R. Williams up on the pole with Olivier in second. Lacio and Coffre, your top four. San Diego and Mark McDonald for Rust Racing Iron up in sixth. 7 going to Andrew Moran, a former champion at 4. Fabio Conte in 8th. Then it's Crane Fuss and Thurman near top 10. Calvez and Ovando inside the first dozen. Larkamp, Harris, Vargas, and Ziti, followed by McPherson and Nick Armstrong back in 18th. 19th spot being controlled by Brad Miller with Jake Vasconcelos deep in the field in 20th. Mitchell Ian Green running for Rust Racing Iron, also a debut drive for him tonight. Ridgeway in 22nd. Jeff Groff starts 23rd. Takeshi Kita half a second off the pole in 24th. Christian Jasper starts off 25th. Well known for running an open-wheel competition. He'll start alongside Kyle Starcharts. Vincent General starts alongside Swindells. Then it's Olivier Rodriguez Santos and Gayori, your top 30. 31st going to Corey Prucker, Ryan Miles way back in the field. A shocker from the Atomic Racing Car 32nd. James Carter, James Notamaker, and Nicholas Calander. The 35 drivers who all take times here today. So in turn, drivers quickly populating to the circuit. Your quick thoughts and keys to win, Derek.
In a 35-car field, JP, I said every week, I think the key to victory is the first couple laps should be consistent and clean and avoiding that first wreck, and you'll have a good time here. But I think the other key to victory is just being consistent on this big track with all these flowing corners.
It's time to go racing from Canada. Live from iRacing's virtual Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, located in Bowmanville, Ontario, we're underway for PRL action for the F3 Series. And already side by side to open things up, 2-3-1 to the heart of the pack. A clean start for Williams and Placio. The teammates go 1-3, make it a battle with Juan Coffre on the inside up the first corners.
Doing a great job so far. You see a little bit of a snake here to get him set up for the next corner. Everyone's made it through pretty safe. One car pretty wide there. He'll hold on to it. Don't see what that was instantly.
Conde did not take the green flag, by the way. That was why we had the slight delay up at the start and finish line for the start box. Outside of that, everyone else is going for the time being. 11 seconds already the difference as they quickly make their way up to the Maryland 20 straightaway for the first time today under power.
And I love camera shots like this right here, Justin. Look at the elevation change just in that straightaway. It'll be apparent all throughout the racetrack, but when you can see a camera shot like that where the cars are coming up and at you, it's easy to see the elevation difference here.
Up to the point. Olivier up on the outside. Williams prefers the inside to the S's. Holds on to it and takes the race lead for the first lap lead of the day. Not done yet, though. Already side by side going back and forth coming through the first section.
Yeah, it was an interesting move. I think Olivier just got a little wide in that corner. Don't think, obviously, no reason he would want to let J.R. Williams by, but he tried to cross over and just hasn't completed it back yet, so he'll sit in P2 here as you come around here on lap number 2, Justin.
By the way, at least one driver already having to come in, even two, in fact, Larkamp and Harris, both having to come in due to situations. And a bad break when it comes to Larkamp, someone with open wheel experience in all sorts of leagues. Side note, I may or may not build a sim rig he may or may not be running on currently. No, seriously.
Seriously, dude. Sorry. Yeah, look at a beautiful back shot here of J.R. Williams, and watch as Olivier is going to try to, I guess, set up the draft here, and then he's going to try to make the move there again.
Already playing defense, already showing the hand of the draft effect. These cars can have a bit of that. Very different, I will say, compared to what we've seen for, say, Spain.
Yeah, very different. And in fact, what you're seeing is different is almost the encouragement of the draft here. The encouragement to sit behind somebody and set up that pass. I feel like at Barcelona or other tracks on the schedule so far for the F3, it's almost been don't be behind somebody. And look at that, Andrew Moran, a 1:12.066, new fastest lap, Justin.
Currently in the 6th position, Moran is, by the way. That is right behind Palacio and right in front of McDonald, a little side-by-side. Speaking of Palacio, Moran trying to find a way to get around. Not quite. Inside curve, instead preferred. Although, that's a little bit cheeky going through the 4th corner.
That was a little cheeky right there going through that 4th corner. In fact, that if he'd have stuck with it side-by-side, that would have given him the spot. If they would have made it through there cleanly, because that's what he was waiting for. They're going to come back up here about halfway through this 10-turn course here as we are finishing our minute here. We got 41 and a half minutes left here. Of course, in PRL, we do laps or time. Right now, we seem to be on pace for laps, but we'll see how that goes as the night moves on, Justin.
Once again, in this respective series, how things are calculated is, so drivers have an easier time by laps for the calculations on fuel. They usually calculate the exact time it will take for X amount of laps. 36 is that lap total expected tonight. In turn, with about 41 minutes on the clock, we're currently on the 4th circuit around the track already. The early goings of this action. Crane Fuss amongst those in this choo-choo train effect. Bondo and Goncalves also back there as well. Just no places to go quite yet except right along with the draft train.
Now, what's interesting, Justin, already on lap 4, if you can stay in that draft chain, if you are 4th, 5th in line, I think we talk about it every week, but man, the difference you could have in a pit stop here for gas can be massive when it comes time to do that. If you're 4th or 5th in the line, you should have a quicker pit stop than the gentleman leading this choo-choo train. That may, help you with the undercut, pardon me, to get into lead later.
Change for second. Williams and Coffray swapping positions. Olivier holding on to the draft for now. Able to close the door in the Precision Racing Esports car. By the way, just confirmed with Larkamp's camp right now as they have significant damage to their car. None of that Rick mentioned. The incident did suck, however, as to be expected. This is amongst some of the incidents, though, that have happened today. Here's one of the YS Motorsports cars that have had some trouble. That's Vasconcelos on the left.
It certainly is. Taking a look, see what's going to happen here. Someone's going to run. It's a little sketchy on the overtake there, but no contact that I saw. But that was a very close call out of that corner, Justin. And when we're on that replay, Olivier has set down the new fastest lap down to a 1:11. So we're getting faster as this race goes on for right now.
And also, this is the effect we've seen already. Wheel to wheel, tire to tire, trying to build up runs like this, as you see with this quick replay of how things have broken down to the passing game so far. That seems to almost be a common trait, no matter the car type almost. Although you'd expect things to break up a bit. They haven't really.
No, they haven't yet. And I guess the question, hell, look at that 3 wide. That's something we don't see every day in F3.
This is the incident we talked about. There goes Takeshi Kita amongst those who was involved in it. And the Atomic Racing car.
That's unfortunate. That's got to be, I'm assuming, the end of his day with what we saw, that contact and that damage there. And that's, man, I know you said it last week, Justin, and you're right. If someone could sit Takeshi Kita down and help him qualify better and stay out of that trouble, there's no doubt in my mind Takeshi Kita would be a champion in the series. He starts so far back every week that it's difficult sometimes, and that's why.
I will say this, amongst those involved in some of that trouble, Richard Swindells has now added in on the quote from that incident. That really, really sucked. Everybody's piling on.
Everybody is piling on, that's true. And that probably will not be the only incident we see tonight. When you're going to have drivers who are drafting like this, we're going wheel to wheel, door to door, through these corners, that's what's going to happen is you're going to bump someone off their line, and those kind of things are going to happen. By the way, the sun has disappeared here in the last couple laps, Justin.
Yeah, very, very dark. It's almost like someone turned the sun off. But there is some light. There is some. Kevin San Diego can't find some light to get alongside quite yet, though.
Yeah, I was seeing that Forrest Gump quote. He's like, I can't do my Forrest Gump. So all of a sudden, like somebody turned off the rain. It's like the sunlight. Oh, here's some sunlight.
They heard your message.
Yeah, somebody listens. Not too many people, but somebody listened.
Kevin San Diego, by the way, running for Delta Sport. We talked about this a little bit. He did not score points last time. Out for the camp, taking the drop week. Expecting big things again from San Diego based on his track record. And the fact he picked up a couple championships in PRL competition last season, in fact.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no bigger point impact right now tonight on a certain scale than our second place driver, J.R. Williams. He's coming into tonight 20th in points. Did not start week 1.
Oh, here's a look.
Week 2.
This is one of the drivers who had some issues. That is Santos, who went off the track in White's corner. Still having problems as a result and having to pull off to the racetrack, just trying to get off of the pit exit after picking up damage there.
And much props to him for doing that, because the two choices you have as a driver is to do that and be safe and protect you and the other drivers, or you try to limp it around and get back to pit road and save the tow time. But unfortunately, a lot of times that ends up just causing more problems for you and the other drivers when there's basically at that point like a rolling chicane moving down the raceway.
Keep an eye on some of the drivers in the mid-pack currently, and you can already see as well. Eventually, if you're amongst those who did not have a good time of qualifying, you're going to need to play it very carefully with how some of these drivers are faring out. That is Goncalves, for example, up in the 9th position. Thurman right behind. Already going side by side here. It's not easy to do so in the first sector even. When you roll your way through Clayton and through Quebec, where so many drivers we've seen over the years in multiple car classes get sent off of the grass before they even get to Moss.
Oh,
Speaking of in the grass, there goes a spinny, and that was Goncalves.
There was a second one back there at the end of that, JP, who also spun. Maybe a little nervous about the Blake Ziti was okay. Maybe nervous about the first spin. So we'll see if we can find a replay in a second. But that was almost like they're listening to you now. That was right on time to make your point look good.
You're only getting 3 now as Thurman tries to play defense as everything else catches on fire. How did the tires catch on fire? Here's a look. Bye-bye.
Got up on the curb, I think, right? I had to see that from a different angle.
Oh, and he definitely got touched at least once there.
And here comes Blake Ziti in just a second. So we'll see from this camera angle.
This took a long time at least to get turned around there. He did get a touch to one of the rear tires by one of the drivers passing by. I wonder if that was Ziti in that case. But Goncalves, who started off making a name for himself at VIR after the troubles of his competitors as a rookie in this series, it's not been a great third round for him, 26 now.
No, and I don't recall it being a great second round either. Take a look at another replay here. This is going to be Blake Ziti. What happens to him? Watch him get around this corner.
And yeah, you're right.
Not sure what happened. Did he just try to get too wide to avoid the wreck? And is that what happened to him?
Almost looked like it. He might have been the driver to touch, and then he gets stuck in the grass.
That's a rough move right there.
And then backs up into the wing. Meanwhile, up at the front, it's getting racy. The packs are breaking up. Moran and San Diego going back and forth.
And I think the packs breaking up, Justin, is probably a sign that the tires are beginning to wear. Now it's going to be a little harder to stay in that draft. Now the dirty air is going to matter, or the wake, or whatever term you want to use for it in your local racing terminology. That's going to get more difficult as these tires wear. It's harder to stay behind somebody. It's harder to put these cars into the corners in that moment. And so you'll see the pack start to break up as, beautiful, not a beautiful spin for him, but really like well done there for Kevin San Diego. Very artistic move.
That was not well done on the spin. That was not as well done either on the rejoin. That could have been very bad. Kevin San Diego, he's gone to 13th land.
Let's watch this again here. Gonna come down through the corners. Gonna get a little too far left, I think. Up, same place as maybe that's what happened to Blake Ziti. Different side of the track where it ended, but now we're starting to see those curbs come into play as enemies and not friends.
So no more cars getting collected there. But that's really broken things up. The top 3 or so have now broken away by more than a second plus. Olivier, Williams, Juan Cofre, all in a group. And this is kind of what we were expecting. It just took an extra about 15 minutes nearly to get to this point.
It really did. And I think, by the way, that replay, Justin, was a great example of us talking about dirty air. It looked like San Diego wanted to get a little bit outside just to get a little bit of his own clean air and not just riding in that dirty air wake of what was happening. And it's got a little too wide. That's probably going to happen more than once tonight.
Indeed, so far. But as these drivers zip around this track at this point, what do you think's going in the minds of, say, Moran or Palacio or Ovando, who just picked up a spot, to try and close this gap? It's not going to be easy now that you've lost the touch of the draft to help you down that Mario Andretti straight.
Well, I think if you are Palacio or Ovando or, drivers who are second and third in line, you're thinking about how to save more gas and how to make up time on that undercut. If you're a Moran who's leading this pack around, I don't know what exactly you're thinking. I mean that in a negative way, but you don't have that gas saving going on. I guess you're hoping for your just pure pace to get you back to the front.
Just seeing Daniel Cranefuss come on in from the top 7. And not sure if that is scheduled. In fact, Cranefuss has damage and has a lengthy stop now in the 55. He was running in 8th. Oh, wow. Juan Cofre up at the point, playing leapfrog down the Mario Andretti straight. Despite getting some help on the draft from Olivier, still better speed from Williams. Not able to hold on to it, though. Cofre getting the better part of the switchback on the S's.
Let me tell you, though, if you're Andrew Moran, that's what you're thinking you want to see, though. Every time those guys make a pass or a move like that that doesn't work, where they don't swap back and forth correctly, they're now both losing time on the leader, and they're letting the other guys catch up ever so slightly. So if you're Andrew Moran, not what you're hoping for, Justin, see that happen a few more times and see if you can slowly catch up to that part of the field.
For those curious, by the way, Kevin Sandiego on his recovery drive just set a lap time nearly quicker than everybody but the race leader, as well as Juan Cofre, who picked up draft.
That's called driving angry.
He's picked up 3 spots this lap. 1 from pit stops, the rest from passing.
That's called driving angry. Now he's mad that he made a mistake. He knows he made the mistake. There's no one else to blame but himself for that move. Sometimes there's nothing scarier than an angry driver, because they'll do things in a race car that you never thought possible because they're motivated. So, JP, as we look at this track, around the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, we were talking about the history of it before we went live. This layout, this Mosport layout, has really never been touched as far as reconfigurations. Whether we look at Barcelona, or whether you look at, the Daytona Road Course, or many other tracks around the world, they've had configuration changes. This has been, I think, basically or ideally the same since it was built back in the 60s. This has got to be one of the longest standing configurations of a racetrack I can think of.
Ryan Maxey for Hagerty.com, I think, put it politely in terms of what you need to do if you are a driver coming up through the ranks in Canada. If you can go fast at Mosport, you can go fast anywhere. That really rings true when you think about just the various sections of the track where you have very technical parts, some fast flowing sections, some fast drafting sections, and some dive bombing sections, as we've seen in trucks here.
Yeah, of course, not in real life, but within iRacing service, this track is known for the NASCAR C-Fixed series, or I guess now the Marconi Setup Shop Class C Fixed series, or whatever it's called now, because it does come to Mosport, I feel like, once or twice a year. But as you said in the beginning, there are many a series that run here in real life. IMSA comes here. I don't know, call it the open wheel series anymore. We're allowed to call it, but that comes here. Lots of stuff comes here. There's been numerous cars that have set laps on this track over the years. What do we call that series now? I don't know.
We call that pit stop time. Not in terms of your discussion, but Kevin Sandiego has a broken car. That did not look clean on that entry.
No, I was thinking the same thing. Either it's broken or he just got in the way hot and had to stab the brakes to get that wound up, because that was a very big wiggle coming on the pit road. I'm curious to see what his time is here.
It didn't even look comfortable getting into the box there. It's up on the jacks, and usually we only see fuel only, so San Diego may have some lengthy time here. 7 seconds taken by Ridgeway, and yes, it is a damage repair stop for San Diego.
So something must have happened we haven't seen yet, because I'm telling you, he should not have been able to make those passes for spots he was making with a broken car. That's over 20 seconds. You called that perfectly. Good job, Justin.
But getting back to the point of discussing this, Mark McDonald's amongst those who was shuffled back in the early going to this race now. The track these days owned by a group led by Ron Fellows. Interestingly enough, of course, Ron Fellows considered one of the best road course racing stock car drivers from Canada of all time because of his success in NASCAR competition and just about anything you put him behind the wheel of course, picking up a victory in what's now the Xfinity Series in Montreal back in the 2010s, for example. And now he's a part of this group that leads this track, has a development program at the circuit, a go-kart facility. He's really grown this track in the past few years, especially Ron Fellows has.
Yeah, and that trend of the schools of, I think they call it the Driver Development Center here at Mosport, that's becoming a trend that's more and more popular, where you're taking people and you're teaching them defensive driving or aggressive driving or race car driving. There's different programs to be learned here. That program has grown here at Mosport over the years. In fact, there used to be like a half-mile oval that existed on this track, and back in 2013 they closed that oval because they wanted to make more room for that driver development school. So obviously that's going well for them.
Funnily enough, Ron Fellows at one point had been nicknamed the mayor of Mosport with the success when it came to Trans Am and IMSA, to say the very least here. But so far, successful running up at the front for Olivier Coffray and Williams. Moran has gotten into a decent rhythm, not been able to chip away. Stride charts amongst those. Who's in a pack that is all over the map. Ian Green coming in right in front of them. Lots of mixed strategies in damage pickups so far.
And I think it's going to be our first chance to really see strike cars up in the top 10 this season. Kyle's a very talented driver. I've had the pleasure of knowing for a long time off and on. And very fast when he wants to be, when he wants to get focused into it. A lot of respect for what that man can do behind the wheel.
You can say the same when it comes to Jasper, someone who runs a lot of open wheel competitions with a lot of different organizations. 99 times out of 100, the colors are red, blue, and yellow. Never changes those color schemes over the years. On the outside, not able to get the switch back yet through Moss. Jasper still trying to get around Vincent General here for 10th.
It was a beautiful move by Jasper to try to make the move out there, and very decisive in that move. That's one thing I noticed about these cars, JP, is there's no subtlety about pulling out a draft line here. When you're ready to do it, you sort of snap the car to the side, and you see just like that, and then you may try to make your pass here.
Speaking of pass, trying to make it, and does it. There goes the 444 up to the top 10. Jasper starting to move forward and move quickly for Destino Motorsports now.
So of course we're we're not in the middle. I guess we're nearing pit stops here happening, and we'll be curious. I'm curious to see how many people are able to take less fuel because of the draft program here. That draft has broken up a lot. There's one down pit road.
Yeah, it's intriguing how this difference in strategies have played out for this race, because normally it's pretty straightforward. About 17 to 13 on the minutes on the clock, or you have drivers split it up the middle. It's kind of been a scatter plot today, to say the least, for some of these competitors. At least for those scheduled. Like, for example, you take Ridgeway and Calvis, who have done so today. Or Brad Miller, who's not doing so, but is having problems on the track to lose 2 spots in a corner.
Yeah, but I just want to keep an update moving here, just so people are aware. We documented Kevin San Diego coming into pit road. He's still there, JP. That is almost 4.5 minutes at this point of repairs to that car. So I don't know what happened to Kevin San Diego, but something did.
Indeed, Vasconcelos wants those lap down. Calvas, you just seen set the personal best lap of the race on lighter fuel, so we'll keep an eye on that car as it drives its way through traffic. Next position up the road is not for a bit Manuel Vargas. Boris Ovando now coming into the pit lane from 13th as well.
Yep, that is the highest up we've seen anyone, or running at least, who's been down pit road, and he'll fall down. Right now it looks like it's 18th on back who have been down pit road. Everyone above that has opted to stay out here and take the long strategy so far in this race.
Non-maker also amongst those in this lap. And we mentioned Mitchell Ian Green, not someone we've seen really at all so far this season. In fact, he DNS'd the first 2 races of this campaign. So his first running for Rust Racing Iron. And Rust Racing Iron, mind you, still looking to score more points. They scored their first points for their team standings, at least last time out. They've obviously had Stephen Verity doing really well for the Oxide part of the division, but the Iron looking to up the irons a little bit.
Yeah, they definitely are. They want to get a few irons in the fire,
trouble.
if you will.
Andrew Moran has just towed the car in the 99 and has left the facility. Moran running in the top 5 is no longer on the track as General is in the pit.
I knew something happens. I saw the timing kind of get wonky for Andrew Moran for a second. Let's see what's going to happen. If we can get through the corner, okay. Oh, nope. Just snapped it back out to the left here, out of that hole.
That's a race ender for Moran and an immediate leave of the paddock. Moran is out. It's been a nightmare of a year for Andrew Moran, a former PRL champion.
That's not good. I don't know what happened. Looks like he just got out of that corner and out of old tires got the better of him or whatnot. But that car just went right to the left. And while he went into that Lowe's home improvement barrier that we saw there at the end of that piece of track.
And that's the huge thing. If you get in 2 crashes, basically, or 2 DNFs, it's very, very, very difficult to even compete for the championship.
It definitely can be. You have to have an incredible, other set of races because you only get 1 drop week, and beyond that, you're putting a 0 up on the board. So you're really, really, really behind the 8 ball, so to speak, as that moment happens. Well, JP, we are more than almost halfway through this race. I'm impressed overall, with all due respect, how clean it's been. We've done a couple wrecks, but mostly single car incidents. Nothing big, no big wheel-to-wheel contact yet. Maybe that'll change as people get amped up for the ending here. So far, pretty clean.
Yeah, so far, pretty clean. Not too many car-to-car contacts indeed. Jasper really wants to charge ahead. Jasper up to a race-high 7th so far. I'm very curious what Jasper can do here once things cycle because based on the Delta, 444 might be in line for a possible top 10 with the pace it's been showing so far.
Yeah, the pace so far has been really good. And, if you look at lap times here, I was looking last time by with your top 5, 111.1, 111.1, 111.4, 112.1, your top 4. So the pace is pretty much identical to their best times. There's no drop off here, which I'm kind of surprised by in some ways.
Yep, but that's always been kind of the trait. The lighter the fuel tank, the faster you go. But the best of the best drivers, again, just limit that tire wear effect. That also comes into play because if you can minimize that, you're within a 10th. If you're amongst everyone else, where you're losing the time, that's the word we're seeing the difference of 43 seconds, 1st to 12.
Yep, by the way, I just want to point out, McPherson, Brad Miller, James Carter, I think Robert Ridgway, all came in this time by. So now most of the field has been down pit road, and the times on the pit stalls, JP, is pretty massive. If you take, for example, a Brad Miller at a 4.9 versus a Brett Thurman at a 6.3, that seems minimal. But, comparing that to on-track time, that could be a big gap of distance.
Most of the leaders coming in. J.R. Williams lost a lot of time prior to this pit stop sequence, too. See how this all cycles. Olivier and Juan Cofre very close. Keep in mind, this is a downhill section of very tight boxes. Very tricky to get on the marks. Olivier hitting his marks for a 4.7-second pit stop off and away.
Nice job there. You said only 4.7. That's a good time there for Olivier. That is one of our fastest of the night as I look up and down the board.
And again, fuelless time. Very confident on the fuel mark. Very confident on the time. That's a decent amount of chunk of time, in fact, over Placio, Williams, and company now. Juan Cofre having problems with an extended pit stop.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the time myself here, trying to figure it out. Juan Cofre, 6.8 seconds. So, not as bad as Mitchell Ian Green with that 13.9, but yeah, that'll hurt you. I mean, 6.8 compared to the 4.9 or 4.3s we're seeing.
But he's also gone from 2nd to 7th.
Oh yeah, that's what I was getting to. That difference in time will lead to a lot of track time. So now he's going to get past here again. Oh, way wide. Is there something wrong there?
Oh, and Cofre's car is broken. Juan Cofre has broken the car some way, somehow, and is off the racetrack. That must have been before pit stops, or something, for that to break so quick.
Let's take a look at this again. I thought maybe he was just going to let someone by, but no, he's just off the line.
Yes,
something broke, yeah.
Something must have happened. Look at the left wing, the left part of the wing. Something broke during that sequence to have that trouble. It would have been well before this corner complex.
I was going to take a couple replays here and see. Yeah, I mean, he does the right thing here, by the way. Big props to Juan Cofre for getting off the side of the track and just kind of parking it out of the way and towing. Don't make the night worse for other people just because you had a little bit of bad luck here. Now we're looking at what I think are teammates coming down this straightaway together.
Yeah, J.R. Williams getting the chance now to work with Palacio. I almost wonder if that might have been part of it too. Remember, we mentioned Williams had lost 3-something seconds right before the pit stop sequence. What if they touched there, Derek?
Yeah, either he touched someone or something. That's a very valid thought, JP. That's a good call there. Yeah, so either guessing maybe he checked up and maybe rear-ended someone. I'm not sure. I didn't see it, but yeah, that's an unfortunate night for Juan Cofre, who's had a great run so far, and it just gives other drivers a little bit of good news in one extra spot.
Can confirm that the required damage had only originally been taken by Juan Cofre prior to that tow. And now, as things steady along, 15 minutes to go, Dominic Olivier up by a race-high 8 seconds over Palacio.
That's kind of crazy to think, isn't it? Like, remember, what was it, 20, 30 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, we were in one big line, sort of doing the choo-choo train, as you called it. Now, 8 seconds is the gap. That's just kind of crazy to think about. I don't even think, we talk about the draft, but these guys don't have that ability probably to slingshot it around for 8 seconds. That's their only hope, though, is to start slingshotting and see if they can make something happen.
Thing is, they're not even getting to that point. They're driving straight up and losing some tenths down the straightaways.
Yeah, and their pit stop times were almost identical to that of our leader. So there's the same amount of gas you would think in the car, but yeah, they're not getting there.
And a second pit stop, I believe, for Stride Charts just now. That's why he just dropped down the charts. So all of a sudden, some more troubles for some of the SRT cars. The 77 had been running up amongst the top 15 prior to that sequence. Press the drivers, you see how they move forward. McPherson, Green, Miller, Jasper, all keeping them clean. Same for General.
Yeah, I mean, James Carter back there, up 17 spots. We talked about in the beginning, if you keep a clean car and you can avoid the calamity, sometimes where you qualify doesn't matter as much as you think it would. You still have a good night here.
Stride Charts now out of the race, by the way. San Diego is back in at 7 laps down. Larkamp had re-entered the race, is currently repairing damage. Conde tried to run a lap, is a lap down. So, on the bright side for Kevin San Diego, he can finish as high as 21st currently, as long as he keeps going himself.
Sorry, I was trying to look real quick for points for Kevin San Diego. But, I mean, in a system like this with only one drop week and a team system in place, remember, there's a team system in place here. Every point matters. So that's your incentive to come out here and race after 4, 5, 6 minutes of repair, is to know that you can still help your team secure a team title after the 10th and final race.
Looking at the battle of the back, and there goes a spin. That's Francisco Calvez trying to keep it off the back end of James Carter. Carter was trying to fight with Corey Precker. And the rookie going around from 18th spot there, Drew Moss.
That's so difficult to see, Justin. We had a chance to talk with him after his win in week 1, and he was almost as surprised as anyone. Said he didn't really think he belonged. I think what happened here, it almost looked like maybe the car in front of him checked up for the corner, and he had to check up as well and lost the car like that.
Still running in 18th on the bright side. By the way, Palacio Williams now almost 9 seconds back of Olivier. Looking at the hard-charging Jasper. We talked about his high expectations. We've seen him throughout the years in open wheel competition. That car is possibly in line now for a top 5 with how quick Jasper's running this car.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, by the way. Good job for Jasper for running the car in the top 5, but I'm sure for where he started, that seems, enormous to say. The top 5 seems almost, wow. Like, as you said, those iconic colors for Jasper here. You see that in every PRL race that he runs. You'll see some combination of those 3 colors.
More so every open wheel race. He always seems to find a way to have that color scheme on every one of his race cars. No matter the car chassis, no matter the car type, he likes those colors, especially with that grouping. And he's carried those colors with multiple different teams, mind you, hence the emphasis. Mark McDonald, you could also emphasize, doing very well. We've seen him up towards the front in qualifying, has picked up a lot of those spots he had lost early on in the 216.
Yeah, by the way, I do want to say, I know we have the clock running at the top left of the ticker, JP, but this race is going to end on laps, and I think by a good difference of it. Right now, we're working lap 28 of 36. That is going to get us well under, I think, the 11-minute mark that we have on the clock on the top left of the screen. So it is going to be a laps-based race here. And right now, Dominic Olivier is having a great run, keeping Palacio and Williams 8 seconds back. Then you go back to 17 seconds for Thurman and 29 for McPherson back in 25.
McDonald and Alvondo nearly scrubbing each other's tires here. McDonald trying to keep it up to the S's. Pinches off Alvondo. All of this for 10th as they head through White's corner. This allowing Robert Ridgway to join the fight. More near contact with Alvondo trying to make the run. McDonald holds firm.
And what I love about moments like this, JP, is it really reminds us that race car drivers at the end of the day are here for themselves. Yes, you want to help a teammate. You want to help a team. You want to get a great point stay for everybody. But these guys are racing hard for their own spot. They each want to be ahead of each other. That competitive spirit is what pushes us as race car drivers. Well, hold on, that's a grass.
That's lap traffic, and that's a crash for Mark McDonald. McDonald trying to get around the outside of Quebec around the traffic, and that causes a massive stack up.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's the downside of side-by-side racing. It's exciting for us, JP, but then that's a moment. I'd love to see that again. Here we go.
Just could see it coming the second. They try to pass lap traffic on the outside. That is Vasconcelos.
McDonald's, I think maybe, I don't want to say he overcompensated, but maybe it was a little wider than he needed to be. And once he caught that curbing, it was just game over, and he was just along for the ride.
You just can't drive on the outside of the corner. Vasconcelos was trying to run his line and actually nearly got ran over a second time there.
I mean, the only thing I'll say for Vasconcelos, though, that I'll defend him for, despite being the lap car, is that, when you talk about road racing, we want lap cars to do what he did. He held his line. He ran his line. He didn't try to let anyone by. He didn't do anything. Hold on.
That's a replay for Kevin McPherson. Okay. He had been also running in the top 5, and that broke out just after he was clear through that same section.
Yeah, sorry I didn't catch that was a replay. I thought it was live, but still, that's a hard hit. But going back, I was cover that real quick, JP. That's what we want lapped cars to do. As a team owner, when I talk to my drivers and I say, listen, if you get into bad spots, just be predictable and let those guys get around you. That's their job. He did perfectly. McDonald's just had a bad luck sequence out of everything.
In this race, you usually don't expect Mosport to have half the field out of the race or off the lead lap by the checkered. Guess what? Half the field is currently out of the race or off the lead lap. It's just been that type of night, I guess.
It has, and it's a different type of night and what it's doing to the points. So let's run through the top 5 points. I'll just call them out here. We saw them on the screen at the beginning of the night, JP. Juan Cofre was in first. Julio Palacio in second. Francisco was in third. Stephen Verity in fourth. And Olivier, our race leader, was in fifth. I say those names, and where are they? Right? Cofre's out. Palacio is in second. Francisco Gonçalves, I believe, is either down in the field or he's down there in 15th. this could be a big points night for some drivers.
A huge swing for a lot of these competitors who want to run for this championship. Williams having a great chance of the swing forward, especially on the team front. Placio doing consistency, things that need to be done for a championship fight. You have to stay a lot, though, with Mitchell Ian Green. Again, his first start of the campaign. Still looking for possibly only as low as 6, holding on the top 5. Brad Miller, one of his best runs ever in the PRL's open wheel competition, in the 7th position. He's done well in the AM class when we've had an AM class in the past. Doing very consistently in the 15 car as well in the next grouping of cars.
Yeah, and another call out, Brett Thurman up in P4 tonight. He's currently 27th in points. He did not finish last week. So a great point nights for him. A great points night, pardon me, for him as well. So here we go. Running a few laps left, JP. Let's ride on board here with J.R. Williams, part of SRT Esport Blue in that 13 machine. Right behind his teammate here.
Find it interesting that the name is Blue, and yet for that part of the team, they don't really have any blue on the race car outside the mirror.
See a little bit, maybe in the back wing here, if he gets a little closer, maybe right there in the middle of the car. Maybe that's blue.
That's kind of dark blue. You're right.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, I see your point though. Typically, if you see like whatever racing red, that's the primary color is kind of what you're going for, and that's a valid point. But yeah, if you have to work to find the blue, I think you've maybe you've missed the mark a little bit.
Are you calling out the designer of their team for not having enough blue in the blue part of the team?
I think you called out their designer for having enough blue in the team. I just sort of went along with it.
Goncalves having an issue. The fastest lap of the race, and the 308 is out.
That's what happens here.
On his own in the sub-Garita car. And that's in Moss.
Is it possible that curbs are the leading cause of death at Mosport right now?
In terms of the car, you mean?
Yes, and in terms
likely.
of the car. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, I was kind of being funny, but that's been the theme of the night, to stay off the curbs. And, compared to other tracks we go where you kind of see the drivers want to abuse the curbs and, ride the heck out of them, as this race goes on and tires wear out, that is becoming a no-no space.
Here we go for 5th. Christian Jasper looking for a top 5 run on the outside of the S's. Mitchell Ian Green trying to hold on, and a slide into Ian Green. Jasper forced to back out of it, forced to regroup on the cross-up.
That's a great move to back out of it. So I'll tell you what, I thought for sure they were going to make harder contact there, JP. I thought for sure they were both going to wreck each other. And then Brad Miller and others behind were going to have a shot at P5 instead.
So Jasper having to wait at least one more lap. Only 3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go this time by. As mentioned, about 2 minutes quicker than the estimated pace for today. That's just how quick Olivier and a lot of these leaders have gone, where they've been running 111s rather than, say, 112s. That was expected for some based on Q tape, or rather Q pace.
Yeah, Q pace can be very different sometimes, and it always feels like that's a difference in racing, and sometimes it's hard to quantify why. Is it because you're just pushing harder because you don't care about the tires? Is it because you're more relaxed because it's not racing? I don't know, but there's times when Q pace, I mean, obviously the setup matters, and I get that part, but man, sometimes you feel like you can do things in Q that just never come to be in race trim.
Brad Miller, Vincent General still also fighting now. This is for 7th. Vincent General, someone with a lot of experience in various different types of cars as well, in multiple sims, mind you. Looking to try and square things up over the US-based driver.
This is one of the few close battles we have here on the track at this time. And we still have Palacio and Williams up there who are racing as teammates, and I'd be surprised to see them push the envelope too far before maybe the last couple of corners. They don't want to mess up a very good team points night. But a couple small 2-car battles left here with about a lap and a half to go.
Submitted to take the next 1 minute and 20 seconds to close things out here today. Olivier just about to take the white flag around the racetrack. No moves amongst the battles for 5th and 7th. Make it Jasper to 5th. White flag is out. Olivier taking the final lap this time.
Yeah, but what a great run all night for Olivier. Has really had nothing to worry about. Has had this 8 or 7 second lead for a long time. They've been running their own race and is sort of off in their own zip code while everything happens behind them.
Well, the pace has shrunk down a little bit for Olivier. He's been able to keep this buffer built. More than 7 seconds, much of the run to close things out for today's action. He's been very quick in his career in the PRL and with PRL's esports organization. Whether it's with road cars or now today in open wheel competition. One more sector for Olivier to close things out for the win here at open wheel action for the F3 Series.
He's had a perfect night. He's not had to face too much lap traffic problems. He's got out there on his own, had a smooth pit stop, and now around the final corner, Justin.
Dominic Olivier weaves in celebration. Olivier wins in Canada. Olivier does it by a sizable 7+ seconds for his first victory of the season. The fight's in the heart of the pack are still on, though. Miller still trying to hold off General. Jasper already passing by Mitchell Ian Green. One more chance for General. Ovando also in the popcorn seat. Will there be a big send for an extra point? No. Miller plays defense and holds on to 7th. General and Ovando the top 9. Robert Ridgway also picking up a top 10. A shocking amount of cars finishing on the lead lap. Grand total of 14. James Carter, the last of them. Just about everybody else out of the race are laps down at the checkered.
See, burning the flag man's loving his job and waving that flag with aggression to let us all know that the race has ended, Justin. But you said it, there's the last car, I think, coming through. You said it. What a surprise how many cars are not going to finish this race. This will be the drop week for what it feels like half the league in this F3 Series.
Mr. Hedge will have a lot of photos to take tonight as Olivier takes the checker flag. 7.6 seconds, the difference at the end. But a big night if you're SRT Esport Blue. A 2-3-4 run for Placio, Williams, and Thurman. Jasper picks up 5th for Destino Motorsports. Mitchell Ian Green on season debut for Rust Racing Iron in 6th. Miller, General, Ovando, and Ridgway, your top 10. 11th spot today going to Manuel Vargas. Then it's Blake Ziti, who had to recover from some troubles earlier in 12. Precker, Carter, the last of the lead lap. Nicholas Calander, 1 lap down, along with Nonamaker. Vasconcelos, the same. Francisco Gonçalves having issues in the closing stages after setting the fastest lap of the race. DNFs in 18th. McPherson and McDonald, your top 20. Kevin Sandiego picking up terminal damage at 1 point in 21st. Stride charts in 22nd. Juan Cofre having troubles after being in the hunt all first half. Andrew Moran also terminal issues. Seen him crash for 24th. Larkamp issues from the jump in 25th. Cranefuss, Groff, Miles, Armstrong, and Santos in the top 30. Giori, Kita, Harris, Conde, and Swindell's also out of the race in the early going today. Goncalves, as mentioned, picking up the fastest lap after being on the alternate strategy. Unfortunately, not able to finish the race. So let's look time at the unofficial race results for tonight. As we wait to see which drivers take the time to speak about how their runs went here, Derek, how did you think tonight fared out?
I think tonight, really, as we said already, was a battle of attrition. That's how it fared out. I mean, plenty of big names who had a single mistake. And this is a track that, because of the curbs and really how close the walls are, there's no room for error. This is why this is not an FIA Grade 1 racetrack any longer, because of the spacing between the track and the walls. At least one of the reasons why. And that means that when you make a mistake here, there's no time to really correct yourself. You're just along for the ride.
Dominic Olivier picking up his first victory this season. He now jumps into the broadcast booth. Dominic picking up the dub. Dominic, it was a very, very quick second half of the run for you. How would you describe that fight, though, in the first half of the race to set this up?
That was so intense. It was really fun battling with JR, and I knew one would be a force to reckon with if he got by JR. So that was I'm really happy with myself, giving these guys such a big fight. Just learning these cars, I'm enjoying it.
In turn, though, how would you describe that draft effect? Because normally you see things break apart. It took about 15 minutes for the packs to really start breaking apart, and that was so because of issues behind.
Yeah, it. My first two races, I really had a tough learning experience in the cars with Dirty Air, with the wash, and really struggled to figure out how to manage the tires and make the best use of the grip to make overtakes. And today I had to do well in quali, and I had to go with an aggressive setup with a little bit more straight speed to be able to attack. So I'm glad I got by JR when I did. I think Juan, when he ended up getting close behind me, he tried really hard. He was barely catching in some areas, and then I think the wash started to affect him. So it was good fun.
So 3 different winners in 3 races. You join that list, but it's a new track next, so a clean slate for many competitors. We head back to Spain. Your thoughts on Circuito de Jerez and the Agno Nieto Grand Prix layout?
That's going to be quite interesting, and never driven there, so I have to go and learn it. So I think it should be good fun. It seems to be a flowing track, and the race is the pack here is so close. I think everyone's gonna have a fun time trying to get up to speed on that one.
One of the newest tracks on the surface. It should be interesting. Well, congratulations on the victory tonight, Dominic. It's your first of the season.
Thank you.
Dominic Oliveira picking up the W. Second spot tonight going to Julio Palacio. He was also in that main draft pack at one point, but finishes second, 7 seconds back. He's with Derek.
Julio, what a great run tonight for you and your team. A 2-3-4 finish. Not the win, but definitely a great result, right?
Yeah, I'm super stoked for the guys. JR did an awesome race. He got the pole. He deserved it. He had great pace, and Brett was right there too. So it was really great for the 3 of us to, be there right almost at the podium, for Brett. It was awesome. It was great.
What do you think separated you guys from Dominic tonight? What put him further out than you guys?
I mean, from my standpoint, you probably saw I fell back after the start there. This is not one of my favorite tracks. I really was playing long ball, hoping not to make a mistake. So that's kind of what I did. I just think he had great pace, and congratulations to him on that win. This is a track where it's really hard to push, especially for 36 laps. So yeah, it was tough.
And we saw that tonight. I think by our count up in the booth, like nearly or maybe half the field has some attrition here tonight, either laps down or out of the race. So maybe that was a great call by you. So next we come to 3 tracks that I think are the newest 3 tracks on the service. Jerez, Hungaroring, and Aragon are the 3 next tracks. What's your familiarity with each of them?
Well, I won last season at Jerez, so I'm super excited to go back, even though I know we're doing the GP instead of the Moto. So I'm stoked about going back to that one. The Hungaroring is another one. It's a great track. The one after, I'm not sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next few weeks. This was the race for me that was going to be tough. It was kind of like Donington, like last season. Everyone's super tight because it's a tight track. It's not very long, so it's great to finish up in the podium.
All right. Well, due to the unfortunate stuff that happened to Juan Cofrade tonight, we're pretty sure you're going to come out with a points lead. So congrats on that, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it for what you do, and a shout out to my teammates at SRT.
You're very welcome. Well, thank you, Julio. All right, JP, that's our second place finisher.
With Palacio in second, his teammate for this season, J.R. Williams, a top 3 run. JR, seen how you were excited to be running in this competition. Last time out, you were on the racetrack. This week, it's a top 3. How are you feeling about this run tonight?
Really good. Despite losing 2 spots and but barely hanging on to a podium, I'm quite proud of that. That was a good time.
So let's talk about your viewpoint from the battle. I believe you just stated to your competitor that Dominic put out a masterclass. How would you describe your viewpoint from that fight?
Dom's amazing. Very, very talented driver. I've been following him with GT3 and stuff for quite some time. So really cool to get to go wheel to wheel. We were battling very close and just giving each other space. I thought it was great.
So in turn, big things expected. You've had experience with Olivier, for example, in the past, but you've also now got yourself in that conversation early going with the team championship side of things. What's that focus now going to be in turn like? Because this was the best run as a grouping this season with the 2-3-4.
Yeah, that's really the goal this season. Is support Julio and then see what we can do. We have, we're battling some very talented drivers, but I think if we can put on additional showings like this, we have a really good shot.
So if I understood that correctly, the goal is give Palacio the chance as the number one and then see how things play out. What if you end up passing on points? Does that mean you're number one?
Sure. Julio's incredibly talented. I would love to be able to say that's a possibility, and if it is, great. But I mean, he's a very talented driver. So with him leading in the points and him having a good shot, I just want to support him as much as possible.
Just thought I would ask to clarify. Thank you very much for the time, JR. Congrats on your first top 3 of the season.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Jared Williams finishing top 3. I'd like to thank Olivier Palacio Williams for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Race Spot. But as these drivers get things sorted, it's time to head off towards the sunset. The next race, June the 12th, Jerez, as mentioned, a race that was on the calendar last time, Derek. Second time in series history there. Big time racing. We'll see how things play out at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Next time out, Palacio, defending race winner there.
Yeah, defending race winner, but a different layout. That can be a difference. We'll have to look at next week and see what the differences are in those layouts. Maybe because you're great at one layout doesn't always transition into all of them, right?
Great point. We'll see who picks up some great points next time out as we make our way through the month of July. Keep in mind, no off weeks in this series this season as we make the quick charge up to August the 23rd to determine who can pick up a championship here in the PRL's F3 Series. On that note, though, it's time to get ready to say goodbye. For my co-announcer tonight, Derek Watson, for our producer and Rafael Sankey, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the Precision Racing League and its Formula 3 series from iRacing's virtual Mosport. Good night.